When you approach your 30s, did it affect you at all that you weren't married?
It did. I took it in an approach of two phases. More in my mid to late 30s, I did feel a pressure to do it. It became kind of a check mark on my timeline, on my checklist. And when I did not reach that accomplishment per se, I did start to think and worry about myself and probably wanted to put myself in situations that weren't ideal for me.
I'm on a journey to discover, uncover, and recover love. Now, as a national playwright, I've penned dozens of shows about relationships. As a filmmaker, I've documented the most beautiful committal of lovers at weddings. And as a divorcee, I know firsthand the brevity of marriage and the pain of its loss. I'm Laterras, and welcome to the Dear Future Wifey podcast.
Welcome to the Dear Future Wifey podcast. I'm your host, Laterras Whitfield. Listen, I am so excited about the guest that we have in studio on today. Now, this young lady is an entrepreneur. I mean, this girl, she's a boss lady. She owns the parent company, The Bell House, which has the company Sweet Things. She makes amazing custom cakes. She also owns the Bell Pantry. This young lady has come up with her own seasonings. When I tell you she is so unconventional, blows my mind. And she's also the co-owner of Low and Rosie Creative Studios. So if you're looking for a place for a special event, check her out. She's a healthcare executive for the top global tech company. Listen, without further ado, this is my buddy, Lauren Rogers. You know her as Lo Michelle. Welcome to the Dear Future Wifey podcast.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thanks for inviting me. I'm so excited to be here.
Lauren, now how do you ever have time to do anything?
You know what? I always say you make time for things that you want to do.
Well, have you made time for love?
Have I made time for love? I have. Yes, definitely.
Okay. So, all right, we're just going to jump right on into it. Now, I saw on Instagram a couple of months ago, back in February, where you celebrated your 30th birthday.
I did. I am 30 years old.
So, listen, in my life as a national playwright, I did a play called By Any Means Necessary. It was a play about these three overly Christian women, or I'll say overly righteous women. And they concocted a scheme to get married by the age of 30, and they were all 29 and a couple of months shy from 30. We're going to call this podcast Dirty 30.
Dirty 30.
Dirty 30. So when Dirty 30 hits, you get, you're all the way you grown. You grown. You should have some grown bills. Hopefully you've moved out of your parents' house at that time, if not a whole lot sooner, but you are grown.
Yes, sir.
So as you approach 30, when you start looking at the subject of love and relationships, let me ask you this. Are you in a relationship right now?
No, I am single.
You are single. Yes. Are you desiring marriage?
I am, definitely.
So you're definitely desiring marriage?
Definitely desiring marriage.
Okay. So I know you know the statistics where they say if you're not married by the age of 30, it begins to decline. Now, I know that society and people are getting married. They're getting married at later ages during this time. But how did that affect you, if any? When you approach your 30s, did it affect you at all that you weren't married?
It did. I took it in an approach of two phases. More in my mid to late 30s, I did feel a pressure to do it. It became kind of a check mark on my timeline, on my checklist. And when I did not reach that accomplishment per se, I did start to think and worry about myself and probably wanted to put myself in situations that weren't ideal for me. But in my mid to late 30s, I also found love, and I really figured out what I did not want. So as I approached 30, it was no longer necessary for me to be married by 30. And I was very happy being single going into my last year of my 20s and into my 30s for sure.
So you found love in your 20s.
Mm-hmm.
You ejected out of that love situation.
Yeah,
and approaching your 30s, you said, hey, I'm happy going into my 30s, not in a relationship, but yet and still you desire marriage.
I do.
During our little, I call it a little vetting process as I talk to you to find out where your mind was. You said, unlike most women who say, they reach a certain level of success where a lot of them are shying away from marriage, you said that's not your story. Why is that?
Definitely not. I am still very traditional, calling myself as being a Southern belle, but I was raised around successful marriages, not only successful marriages, successful Black marriages. And I saw the outcome of two people coming together and growing something and building something and a legacy. And I definitely want to do that in my life. And I want children. And I think to set that foundation, it's important that they're raised in a two-parent household. It doesn't always happen that way, but that's how I was raised, and I definitely want to emulate that as well.
So how many years have your parents been married?
Oh, my parents have been married 35, 36 years.
35, 36 years. Yes. Now, you told me something that really just blew my mind. You still have your grandparents living, correct?
Yes, my mother's parents are still alive.
And how long have they been married?
Oh, goodness. They've been married 72 years.
72 years. When I think about that, I think about the power, and I even told you, I said, I would love to have them. You was like, that probably would never happen. But I was like, I would just love to sit down and talk to a couple that weathered. I mean, they went through a lot of stuff that happened from a national standpoint, not even considering the stuff that they went through from a marital standpoint. But it's like 72 years, you've seen a lot together. What does it feel like when you're witnessing them together?
The roles have changed, and I've seen them transform over the past 30 years. I can speak from that, where my grandmother was a homemaker, and she took on that role in the household, made sure things were done. And now that role has kind of reversed. Of course, they're both retired, where my grandfather now is taking on more of a caretaker role and taking care of my grandmother a little bit more in their relationship. So it goes to show that role reversal, it does happen. And it goes to show who you marry today may not be the person you marry in the long term. You transform, you grow, and you change. And so it's a beautiful thing to see how they look out for one another and worry about one another still in this age. And they're not settled unless each other are okay. It's a beautiful thing to see.
Growing up, watching these successful marriages, what type of ideology did you have in regards to marriage? What did you see for your future?
Naturally, I think I desired a man that was like my uncles, my grandfather, and my father, and great qualities of men. So naturally, I wanted those things, but I also wanted someone that had a drive and an entrepreneurial spirit like myself. Knowing I was raised by an alpha woman takes a strong man. But I appreciate it so much more in my 20s and seeing how my dad was able to balance an alpha woman, and that just made him an even stronger man. But it takes a special man to be with a woman like me. And I don't say that lightly. It's not cockiness. It's definitely not cockiness. But if I have put all this hard work into my life, not only career, professionally, spiritually, my relationship with God, with the relationships I'm fostering with my girlfriends, if I put all this effort, being financially stable, eliminating debt, credit, to put all that work there, I want to put that same effort and attention into my love life.
So when you talk about your faith, is it important for you to be married to someone that's a Christian?
Of course. I don't see it working without that.
Okay. So what has your relationship journey been? Mm-hmm. When you look at your first serious adult relationship, can you talk about that?
I will, yeah. I think that's great. So I want to start by saying I've had this unique experience that the majority of the people I've dated were genuinely good guys. We didn't work out for, just incompatibility issues or whatever, or just wrong timing, but I do believe now in kind of that. They say you have 3 major loves in your life. You have your puppy love. Definitely had the puppy love. Then you had that major breakup, that heartbreak, that lesson. So I've experienced my lesson.
That lesson would hurt, boy. That right there take you out, make you not even want to love nobody again.
I'm telling you. So I had to definitely recoup from that situation. And I learned a lot about myself, about, you talk about with your other members on your podcast, what you want, what you don't want. I had to recognize my contribution to that relationship as well. And I 100%. Think sometimes a lot of women, we want to play victim. I'll be honest about that. I had to see what I contributed to that situation. Yeah. And then ultimately, which is a hard pill for a lot of women to swallow, find happiness within myself. They say it, but you really have to believe that. And I had to put myself in the position to trust God, to know that ultimately he knows the desires of my heart, and it's going to come.
Yes.
And I can't just sit around and wait on it. And if I'm saying I'm happy and I'm not truly believing it, I'm only lying to myself.
Yes.
So I've been in that preparation stage as well. And don't get me wrong, I'm a Southern Belle. I definitely believe in courtship, in the chase, in the art of the pursuit. But I have to understand I'm preparing myself for something great as well. And so had that major heartbreak. So now I think I'm in the position to be able to receive it. And I'm now on that path to find love as well. And whenever that comes within a year, next 5 years, maybe 10, I'll get there. And if it doesn't, it's okay, because I love myself and I have a lot of love in my life as well. And I'll be fine. And that will be just fine. I can still have a full, fulfilling life even without marriage. Do I want it? Of course.
So you said 10 years. 10 years, that'll put you at 40 years old. You think that process of getting between 30 and 40 wouldn't have you panicking, saying, oh, what is wrong with me? Why haven't I been chosen to be married? Why do you think that would deal with your self-esteem?
If you asked me that 2-3 years ago, definitely so.
So now you're at a place where you feel like you're whole, you're complete.
Exactly. And it's something I definitely want. You know, I think we all have dreams and desires, whether it be in relationships or other career goals or things we want to obtain we may never get. But that's just telling me that's not God's purpose for me. And I have to be okay with that. And I have to trust him. And it's a hard lesson. And it didn't come easy. It's easy saying it now. But I'm at that place where I'm definitely okay. And I trust him to take care of it. He will take care of it.
So here on the Dear Future Wifey podcast, we like to keep it lit. All right. Okay. So I know you're going to feel like I'm digging and I'm be uncovering some stuff or whatever, but I'm always interested in someone's journey. Mm-hmm. And you can always tell a lot about somebody based on their last relationship. Mm-hmm. So would you like to discuss your last relationship?
Would I like to discuss
my Are you last open to discussing your last
yes,
relationship?
I'm open to discussing my last relationship.
Okay, because I want permission now.
Thank you.
Yeah, we've talked about this.
Mm-hmm.
So your last relationship, how long has it been since you've been out of that relationship?
It has been almost 3 years. At the end of the year, it'll be 3 years.
Almost 3 years. What did you learn? No, I'm going to ask you what you learned about that relationship last, but I want you to give me a little overview of that relationship.
Overview of a relationship. Very passionate relationship.
Was you in love?
I was definitely head over heels in love. It moved very quickly. I trusted him. My family knew him. We had a lot of good memories and good times, but when I say it was very passionate, for the good reasons and the bad reasons, and that's ultimately why we aren't together today.
Kept it nice and vague. Kept it real nice and vague.
I figured you were going to ask me a little bit more.
Well, because I'm trying not to pry. I'm trying to just allow you to talk about what you comfortable talking about. Because it's hard because I know the story, so I don't want to just put you on out there. So when you say passionate, what do you mean by passionate? You said, because that's the first thing you led off with. You said we were very passionate.
Something, I compare that to our first year. When we met, we hit it off very quickly. It was a long distance relationship and we weren't in the same city. So in perspective of passion, for the first year, we never went 2 weeks without seeing each other.
Wow.
So a lot of travel, a lot of back and forth. And so he was present all the time. And attentive, and we balanced each other out. He was balancing both a career and starting a business. I had a business and a career, so we understood how to be. You
always had a business. You had a business since you were 9 years old. So
we learned how to be flexible, and I'm key on saying you make time for the things you want to do.
Yeah,
and in that situation, if as crazy as our lives were, we made that time. And he had a vision. Where he talked about the future and talking about wanting to place me in that future. And that made me feel very confident and secure that this was something that I was in for the long term.
So when he said he had a vision of where he wanted to place you in the future, I hope it wasn't as vague as that. He said, wanted you to be his wife.
Yes.
Specifically wife.
So the day I introduced him to my parents, he told my father that I would be his wife.
Oh, shoot. That's what I'm talking about. I like when a man just speak up.
And so, me and my mom, we were popular. Me and my mom were popular. We was kind of like,
Okay. All right, I guess so.
So it was one of those moments. So yeah, so he was very intentional up front. His actions matched his words. So I had no reason not to believe everything this man was saying.
And then what?
Dun, dun, dun.
Let me see if I have a sound effect for that.
That's good. I guess then what? I guess it really wasn't a then. I guess you want to know what went
awry.
What went awry?
This beautiful love story. Y'all were seeing each other bi-weekly. Y'all were traveling to see each other. Y'all wasn't letting distance come in between y'all. He told us, your father, this is my wife. Your daughter is going to be my wife. And you were doing well financially. He was doing well financially. Seems like a perfect love story in the making.
So I think it's a combination. It's never just one thing. It's a combination of things. And I spent a lot of time on all of them. The first one would be he was trying to fulfill or heal from the passing of his mother.
Okay.
And not having a relationship with his father. And I remember a lot of times in our arguments, that will be my answer. I can't be your mom. Good. I can't be your mother. And it wasn't that he wanted me to do things for me. It was that nurturing type of thing, which I'm naturally a nurturer.
You are?
So, yeah.
Normally like you boss women, y'all kind of,
No. I'm naturally a nurturer. Even if you think about any of my businesses, when I do corporate, it's taking care of people. I love people. I thrive off of making people happy. And so we connected there. So it was a little bit of, and that's not one thing that could ruin a relationship. That's what I'm saying. It was multiple things. Yeah. Secondly is, and I experienced not just with him, with other men, that they love the aspect of a woman like myself, but having to deal with that on the daily basis. We have an opinion.
Listen, fellas, they have an opinion.
And if he was building a business, and there's a business case, or if I'm looking at numbers, I'm looking at books, and things don't look quite right. Oh, it's like, okay, yeah, no, we don't say all the good stuff. Don't tell me all the bad stuff. And I couldn't be a yes woman to that. And I revealed some things, and I saw some things with building that character issues that I was like, yeah, that's not ultimately going to be what I want for myself. And there was he was in Atlanta, a thriving business. He was an alpha male that when he walked into a room, he owned that attention. This is what attracted me to him, but that attracts other women too. So we'll leave that one at that.
Leave that right there. Hey. Was he the same age as you? Around the same age?
Around the same age. I think he was a few years older, 3 years older than me. And then third is managing success, or fourth, managing success in a relationship. I didn't really get to see his character flaws until his business took off. And it revealed some things, some selfishness, and some things where ultimately I did not want to have in my life long term.
So what was your takeaway? So you experienced this. You experienced what we consider and what you consider real love. That was real love, right? That was real love. That was real love where, like I said, your family was involved. It was like when you start talking about looking in books and stuff like that and being able to see people's business acumen, that's really trying to build something with someone. And you said that was a traumatic heartbreak that you went through, right?
Definitely. Yeah.
Who ended it?
I would say he did, because he emotionally detached much sooner than me walking away from the relationship. But if you look at, who ended? Well, I walked away. So it was ultimately my decision, but I had every reason. I feel like I was being pushed to that
out,
point.
Yeah. Where you had to go make a decision. When you look at that 3 years ago, has that prevented you from opening up to another love interest, or do you feel like you're, between those 3 years, you went through the healing necessary and now you're at that place, or were you at that place a year after the breakup, or when did you get to this available for love from a heart perspective?
Every woman or everyone that's experienced a heartbreak will say there's a healing process, and there definitely was. And I spent a year really focusing on that healing, because there's residual in a relationship. You're not just healing just from that situation. It impacts a lot of other things in your life. We talked about my diagnosis of rheumatoid arthritis.
Yes.
And that happened in that last year of that relationship where stress was at its highest point. And so it was really focusing on healing internally, emotionally, spiritually.
Hold on. You said you brought up something that was a trigger for me. What did he say about that? About your diagnosis. When you just said that I forgot. When you said that,
he wants me to reveal. He wants me to go there. But it's brutal honesty. I think that's important.
Yes.
When you're in a relationship and you're hearing someone tell you how they're feeling and you're not being receptive of that. And honestly, I don't think it was him. Honestly, I think it was God speaking through him to tell me to get the heck out. And that wasn't the turning pivotal moment. We talk about that too. You asked me about what that moment was, but upon that diagnosis, I had a very bad spell, and it was scary. It was scary for everyone, and it was at a point where we didn't know what it was. But he looked me in my eyes, and he said, "I don't want to take care of you the rest of your life." And taking someone that is such in control of her life, that was so on top, and that really broke me down. And that was only, I didn't share this with you before, but it was sabotage. It was mental heartbreak to tell me only thing you're good looking and you can cook. That's all you're worth. We know that that's not true. I know that's not true sitting here, but when you're in love and you hear things like that, it definitely takes a toll on who you think you are as a person. You saying
he said that to you? You said that to yourself?
No, he said that to me.
He said you're good looking and you can cook. That's about all you bring to the table.
That's all you bring. That's all you bring to the table.
I think God gives us those let my people go. I call those let my people go, meaning that when Pharaoh, the children of Israel didn't want to leave Egypt, and God impressed upon Pharaoh's heart to release them, and he kept bringing plagues, he kept bringing all this stuff to him, and he said, let my people go. And so what happens is oftentimes when we're tied into a relationship and we see all these different signs of not leaving, we have every reason, green light to leave, go, and we say no, and then God speaks through that individual, and he says something as traumatic, as devastating as he did.
This is suicide. This is emotional suicide for yourself. Lauren, what is going to be the breaking point where you're just going to leave? What is that going to point where you're going to tell yourself, this is not what I want. This is not what my daddy didn't do it. My granddaddy didn't do it. My uncles and aunts, my brother who's married. This is not, I have very, very good examples. I never heard anyone in my family, any man in my family talk to a woman that way. So let's be clear there. But it was also because I never experienced it. I probably didn't know how to handle it. So that was a mental aha moment for me. And I literally woke up one morning and said, I have to get the heck out of this relationship.
Probably didn't say heck though, but nonetheless, you had to go.
I had to go. It was time to go.
Now, Lauren, you're a beautiful woman. So I know you have a lot of guys sliding in your DMs. Is that accurate?
Quality over quantity.
No, I didn't say that. I said guys.
Yes,
guys sliding your DMs. We're not going to quantify them.
There's not a lack of attention. I'm not. Yes.
Okay.
I'll just say yes.
Do you ever respond to guys? Can a guy pick you up through your DMs?
Can a guy pick me up through my DMs? Can a guy show interest?
No, can he get a response?
Can he get a response? Yes. A guy can get a response via DM.
Okay, so fellas.
Oh, gosh, Lord, I just put that out there.
Yeah, fellas. Yeah, fellas. So, hey, because we got to use modern technology in our favor. Have you ever been on any dating sites?
I have. My ex, I met on a dating site.
Oh, you met on a dating site. Yes. So it's actually worked out for you, loosely. Yeah, you found love. So I think experiences are everything. Heartbreak is heartbreak, but you have to experience, even stepping out there, experiencing love.
Yes.
And so I call that successful. I call that successful because it taught you a lot about yourself, and then the guy who is blessed to have you as his wife, you come with that experience, and you come from a different level of appreciation when you have a guy look in your eyes and say, baby, I don't care what you go through sickness and health. And now that's going to mean something greater for you in the future. Definitely. Amen. So are you still on dating sites?
I'm taking a break from online dating websites at this point. That's a good question.
You just know you're taking a break.
I just know I'm taking a break. You dab a little, you go in the game, you come out the game a little bit.
Then jump back in again.
COVID doesn't make it the easiest, as well. And, a lot of men right now are eager to see you. And I'm like, have you been tested?
But can't see you on FaceTime.
Right. FaceTime is a beautiful thing. We have so many avenues to see one another right now. I'm just not interested in meeting new people through a national, worldwide pandemic. So I've kind of given online, because it's really active right now. It's busy because everyone's at home.
Yeah,
and
they got a lot of time on their hands.
A lot of time on their hands. There's a lot to weed through. So, yes.
I heard that online dating can be overwhelming. Like, I don't know what some of the dating sites, but whatever dating site you were on, how was the matching process? Was it like I don't know how that stuff worked.
It will depend. You can set, that's so funny. There's this one where you can set parameters and what you want, and I guess mine are too specific because it'll be like, it's nobody left. You need to expand your search. So I get that. And I'm like, I'll just try again tomorrow because no, this is what I exactly want. And if they don't fit into this criteria, then no. So I'll come back tomorrow. Then the next day, maybe 2 or 3 more. And then they'll tell you again, expand your search.
Lauren be having all this criteria, and then she looks and got Jesus' face on there. He said, here go Jesus.
That's who's for me. That's who's for me.
Like, wow, hey, Jesus.
I weed through it. For one, you can tell a lot. If someone is not going to commit to their profile, answer the questions. Like some guys, like you can just put a period just to fulfill the requirement, and that's not someone. If you're not going to even answer the question. Or then you'll have those certain ones that they'll come with their list of things that they don't want. And she got to wear her natural hair. She can't weave. She can't expect this. No. And then you're like, okay, no, next. Okay. And so you learn how to navigate. Then, the picture quality, like.
We all bootleg.
Well, if where are you? You have sunglasses on, your hat's on, your hairline receding. These are things I need to know. Or if they're not full body pictures, or you can tell they're from a few years back. So, there's qualifications for sure that you can weed through, and you can eliminate a lot of the noise. It's just like going to a bar or a happy hour and you're scanning the room. There's things you can do in online dating as well.
Online dating. All right. So you've gone down that route of online dating. You're still open to it. Just on hiatus right now.
Right.
And what about traditional? Do you ever get guys that are see, people would never believe this. Now I'm gonna have a confession, y'all. Armani, I want you to zoom in on my face right here.
Oh goodness, what are you about to say?
I am like afraid to approach a girl, a young lady, a woman on the street and be like, hey, how you doing? My name's Laterras, and I saw you buying that mask over there for the pandemic, and I'd just like to have your phone number. I can't do that. It's impossible for me to walk up. I can't do it, Lauren.
Why is that?
I just can't. And in my brain, I see myself as somebody like that. I just can't do it.
But I tell you, art of the pursuit, that's a turn on.
It is, but the minute, but I'm telling you, if a woman looks my way and like give me a green light, I'm
a green light kind of girl.
I'm a pounce. But the reality is,
pounce.
Yeah, I have to use my animalistic terminology. I'm like, hey, how you doing? But just like walking up and seeing, I'll pass by you up and down the aisle 50 million times. I'll just be like, thanks, you fine. Thanks, you fine. That's it.
So what is this, insecurity?
I don't know what it is. I don't know.
But a lot of men say this, so I'm curious.
I think that I just don't know. I think I need therapy. I just don't know. I don't know how to just walk up to a woman and say that. If we're in the same vicinity, we're in the
audience.
same.
This is the Dear Future Hubby podcast. My name is Lauren Rogers, and I'm interviewing Laterras Whitfield. And today we're going to address.
I'm just dealing with some things. No, it's impossible. But if we're in the same environment and we're just casually talking to each other, then I'm gonna talk. I ain't afraid of that. But just walking up to a total stranger and just like, oh my God, I cannot let you leave this this Smoothie King without giving your number. And I said that because I was at Smoothie King a couple of months ago, and I was like, dang, this lady in front of me is so doggone fine. And she looks single. But I ain't going to ask her for a phone number.
So I think that's generational too, because I'm going to tell you, millennial men are a little different these days. So I feel that there is this kind of equality, 50-50. So you have the millennial men that won't do, like, women should be able to approach men too.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just talk clearly. Lauren's not approaching a man. I'll give you the cue to come over and talk. But then they are coming with questions. It's like an interview.
Who?
Millennial men.
Like what?
What do you do? Oh, where are you from? Where's your daddy in your life? What's your credit score?
No, they don't.
What's your next 10-year plan? Yes. So I'm on an interview. And so for me, that's motivation, because I feel like he obviously does not know who I am.
Are you approached most of the time by younger guys or older guys?
Now that I'm 30, it's a mix.
Oh, really?
It's a mix, yes.
From what ages?
It's from 22 young guys to older granddaddies.
What, 60, 70?
Yes, poppies.
Don't be no 70-year-old dudes hollering at you.
I feel like, sir.
Trying to make you a sugar baby.
No. That's definitely not going to work. Not at all.
So what do you normally say to them? Do you even respond?
I'm nice. I know a lot of women take different approaches, but if they're respectful and good intentions, I let I just tell them not interested in. I'm black and white though, so I let them know I'm not interested. Thank you, flattered, but no, thank you.
So you're single not by the lack of opportunities,
right?
It's by quality.
Quality, yes.
It's not about quantity, it's about quality.
Quality, yeah.
And I don't even want you to even say on this podcast what you're looking for. You touched on it about from attributes and qualities and characteristics that your uncles and your dad and your brother has. But I like for that to stay a mystery for guys, because guys, you'll start finding a narcissistic guy that will meet exactly what you're doing.
Exactly, yeah.
They will gaslight you from day one. You're like, oh my God, I'm at everything that I wanted. And next thing you know, you find out who he really is like 6 months later. And
thanks for that protection.
oh yeah, I gotta protect my sisters, because I'm telling these dudes, they be like, okay, she wants this and he wants that. All right. Oh, I can tell her all that. You know, that's just like create their own little profile. Yeah, you got to be careful about that. What is it that you desire most from a relationship? When you look at marriage, why do you even want to get married? I know you say you're traditional, but why?
I think there's something extremely beautiful about two whole people kind of coming together and building something greater. And that's a beautiful thing. And I want to do that.
Can't they do that in what they call it now, those little life partnerships?
What's a life partnership?
It's when people just say, all right, Lauren, you and I, we're going to rock together. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be me and you. That's just what it is. We don't need no government. We don't need the government to determine our love for each other. We don't need no piece of paper. That paper don't mean nothing. You know what I'm saying? You know how I feel about you.
That's a facade. That's not real. So when people say that, oh, you don't want the real thing. You want something like it.
No, this is real. This is real. This is what see, what happened, Lauren, is you've been brainwashed by the white man telling you what marriage should be. You know what I'm saying? What you need to do is you need to broaden your mind and be a free thinker. And you need to it's about commitment. It's about relationship with each other.
It's about all those things, but it's also very spiritual, and it brings back that foundation of having a marriage built on God. And I can't have that.
And there
it wouldn't happen without God. It's a covenant. Sure.
And there it is.
Yes, sir.
And there it is. So you want traditional.
I do. I'm as much as I am innovative, new, savvy, millennial, I'm very traditional. A lot of traditional qualities.
You love the courtship. You love the guy that chased and pursued. That's beautiful. Don't ever change that, Lauren. Listen, I really enjoyed speaking to you on the Dear Future Wifey podcast. Thank you for keeping it lit, being honest. Is there anything you want to say to people before I release you off into the world and fly?
Well, I want my people to follow me. I think this is a great thing. What Laterras is doing is so great. But follow me on social media. Texas_Southern Belle. That's TX_SOUTHERNBELL. From there is a tiny URL. You can find links to all of my business pages and my blog.
So, Lauren, thank you for joining us on the Dear Future Wifey podcast. It was great. Everybody, put your hands together for Lauren Rogers, a.k.a. Lo Michelle. Dear future wifey, when the time came and you transitioned to the age of 30, and if you weren't married, did you feel like a failure? Did the sudden reality of not having a diamond adorn your ring finger cause you in any way to feel inadequate? Maybe you were actually married when your clock struck 30 and now you're divorced. Has the demise of your happily ever after created the fear of getting married again? Fear not, my love awaits you. Everything happens in God's perfect timing. The unbreakable love that we'll have for one another will manifest only because of the wait. Through bated breath, we fought and won the mental war on proverbial clocks. We are victorious. I love you. Your future hubby. Thank you for listening to the Dear Future Wifey podcast. Remember, be lit, live intentionally and transparently, and don't stop loving.
Make sure to subscribe to our Dear Future Wifey YouTube channel. We're available on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and Stitcher. We welcome your support. Simply share our podcast with your friends and family.